Hello, I'm Maciej Mikos and you're watching World Talks. The future of the ruling minority coalition in Bulgaria is in question after thousands took to the streets of Sofia to protest the 2026 budget. How will it affect Bulgaria's plans to join the Eurozone next year? To talk about it, we are joined by Maria Simeonova, the European Council on Foreign Relations, and we have reached you in Sofia. So, what is the situation in the capital city today?
First of all, hello and thank you for having me. So there was a very big protest in Sofia on Wednesday evening, provoked by the budget 2026 that was adopted on first and second reading. The protest itself was attended by thousands of Bulgarians and is considered to be one of the biggest protests in the past more than a decade even. The reason for the discontent of the people is basically the effect of the budget, and mostly the effect on the middle class and on the business. And as you pointed out, it was the opposition in Bulgaria that was leading the protest and encouraged people to go on the streets and express their dissatisfaction with those numbers that will put in jeopardy people's salaries, but also the business itself.
So the government decided to withdraw the budget proposal, right? But are more demonstration expected on the weekend? Because I guess it's not just about the budget itself, it's about the government.
Exactly. So currently in Bulgaria, we have an official coalition of three parties. The biggest political party, GERB, led by Boyko Borisov, longtime Bulgarian prime minister. We have other two smaller junior coalition partners, one socialist party and one more like a populist and nationalist party. But the problem is that this coalition is supported by the party that traditionally represents the Turkish minority in Bulgaria, that was recently taken over by the figure Delampievsky, who is sanctioned by the governments of the United States, the government of the United Kingdom, sanctioned for corruption, for exercising political influence over the judiciary. So, as you pointed out, the problem is not just the budget itself. Yes, it was the spark because it directly impacts the income of millions of Bulgarians. But the problem is that a sanctioned Bulgarian politician is dictating Bulgarian politics because his influence in the ruling coalition, and now even officially supporting the ruling coalition, this is, rightfully provoking protests and is raising important questions on who is actually ruling the state, who is dictating, sometimes behind the scenes, but more and more often more publicly. And definitely there is this strong Bulgarian community that rejects that the Bulgarian state is ruled by somebody who is sanctioned for such serious crimes.
But how strong is this public dissatisfaction? You know, I'm wondering, given the years of political instability in Bulgaria, should we expect snap elections soon?
Yes, we voted 7 times in only 4 years. So from 2020 to 2024, we were in an unprecedented political crisis. We had short-lived governments led by the current opposition. Those governments achieved a lot in terms of the European development of Bulgaria, the Bulgarian standing within the European Union. But right now, I think we have an overlap of the people that have been on the streets for many years that were opposing the corruption into politics. But right now with this budget, ahead of the Bulgarian membership into the Eurozone. We are joining the Eurozone on 1st of January next year, so in a month. This budget puts doubts on everything that Bulgaria achieved economically and financially, despite this political crisis. And one of the reasons that people were very angry right now is not just the higher taxes, the increase in the social insurances, but the problem is the increase in the salaries of those in the state sector. Those people are more than 500,000 in Bulgaria, and the population of Bulgaria is less than 7 million people. So the higher taxes for the business, for the people, which means decrease in their income, coupled with unprecedented increase in the public sector, in the salaries of the people working there, is provoking these protests. And I should say that right now the coalition in Bulgaria doesn't look very stable. As you said, the day after the protest, the leader of GERB, Boyko Borisov, went public saying that he will ask the withdrawal of the budget. Today, we find out that this was not exactly the case. This is still not being done. And there is another protest scheduled on Monday. So things are developing very fast, but people are definitely mobilized to protest against not just the budget, but by the uncontrolled exercise of power, political power.
So, an overgrown public sector plus political corruption still being present in Bulgaria. Why is it so hard to implement any meaningful reforms in the country?
For many, many years, Bulgaria was stuck in adopting the necessary reforms. Right now, the EU conditionality on rule of law, for example, is helping a lot for the parliament to pass such laws. They're mostly related to the National Recovery and Resilience Plan. But on the other hand, the lack of reforms serves certain politicians. They do not have an interest in passing through those laws because, for many, many years, they've been using political power for narrow either political gains or private interests.
Which politicians are you talking about?
This is the main... Here, the embodiment of the corruption in Bulgaria is the figure Delampievsky, who I mentioned in the beginning, yes, who is sanctioned by the US and the UK. So his influence, apparently, the country is expanding, and also his influence in the ruling coalition is expanding, and his influence over the biggest party in Bulgaria, GERB, led by Borisov, and therefore people are on the streets, to say no to such practices. And what is new in these protests is that they were attended by many, many young people. Those people were born after the year of 2000, for example. They've lived the bigger part of their life was in the European Union. So they were educated abroad in Western Europe, for example. They got back to Bulgaria, and right now they're the ones that require for the government, not to serve anybody's private interests, but to serve the people and to guarantee that the economic development of Bulgaria will continue in a positive way after 1st of January, especially with the entry into the Eurozone. So this is something new. There is a clash between this young generation of Bulgarians and Bulgarian politicians who've been around for decades that are used to another type of mentality, which they apply in the way they are exercising their powers in
I see.
Parliament.
So there's an old political class in Bulgaria on one side. On the other side, you have these young protesters. But do the young people in Bulgaria, do they have a clear political representation as well?
Well, right now, the opposition is represented by the party We Continue the Change and Democratic Bulgaria. It's a coalition. We Continue the Change is a relatively new party. It was born out of the protests in 2020, actually, and they even were in government, in coalition governments, twice since 2021. And in this party, there are many young people, also in democratic Bulgaria. But I wouldn't differentiate. But what I would differentiate between is the young people who are educated in a different environment that require transparency, accountability. And they protest against the practices of adopting this very important document, which will define the Bulgarian finances in the years ahead. They require this to be adopted in a very transparent way, something that didn't happen during the second reading of the budget. There were very controversial practices during the procedure itself, which made the people even more angry. So I think this is a very important moment for Bulgaria, where we will see if this old political class will manage to somehow, for yet another time, circumvent those demands of the people, or it will have to face them. But definitely there are some turbulences in the ruling coalition, within the coalition, but also under the pressure of the thousands of Bulgarians that are on the streets.
Maria Simeonova, European Council on Foreign Relations, Sofia office. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you for watching and stay with us for more interviews here on TVP World.